Before we begin, pause for a moment. Take a slow breath and simply notice that you are aware. Not your thoughts, not your memories, just the quiet fact that you are here, experiencing this moment. For thousands of years, humanity has asked what happens to that awareness when life changes form. Today, we explore this question not through belief or fear, but through clarity, reflection, and the shared human search for understanding. Reincarnation, consciousness, and the continuity of life. For thousands of years, humanity has asked one of the deepest questions: what happens to us after death? Does consciousness end, transform, or continue in some way we do not yet fully understand? Across cultures, religions, and philosophical systems, the idea of reincarnation appears again and again, not always described the same way, but pointing to a similar intuition that life may be part of a larger continuum rather than a single isolated event. To explore this topic clearly, it is important to separate belief, symbolism, and what we can understand from psychology and human experience. First, we must understand what we mean by a person. A human being is not only a physical body. Each of us also carries memory, personality, emotional patterns, learned behaviors, and the continuous sense of identity we call self. Even though our cells constantly change and our brain rewires itself over time, we still experience a feeling that I am the same person. This happens because the brain maintains a continuous internal model of identity, a narrative bridge that connects past, present, and future experiences into a single ongoing story. Many philosophical traditions describe another layer beyond the physical and psychological person, something often called the soul. In symbolic language, the soul represents the continuity of personal experience, the accumulated tendencies, emotional patterns, and inner direction that shape how a person lives, chooses, learns, and evolves. Whether interpreted spiritually or psychologically, this concept points to an observable reality. People carry forward behavioral and emotional patterns across time, sometimes across generations through culture and upbringing, and possibly, according to some traditions, across lifetimes. The idea of reincarnation can therefore be understood in multiple ways. In spiritual interpretations, it is seen as the return of an individual consciousness into a new life in order to continue learning, experiencing, and developing. In psychological or symbolic interpretations, reincarnation represents the continuation of patterns, how unresolved tendencies, values, and influences move forward through families, societies, and the human story itself. In both views, the central message is similar. Life is not random repetition, but a process shaped by learning, experience, and direction. Many myths and modern internet theories speak about gates, traps, or systems that supposedly control reincarnation. Historically, however, these images were symbolic language used to describe transitions of consciousness, the human attempt to represent an experience that cannot be directly observed. Experiences, sometimes described as tunnels or passages, can be explained neurologically as the brain's response to changing activity states. Yet psychologically, they remain meaningful because they reflect how the mind transitions between different levels of awareness. An important question people often ask is whether we have choice in what happens after death. From a scientific standpoint, we do not yet have measurable evidence describing consciousness after biological death. From a philosophical perspective, however, the idea of choice can also be understood through the present moment. The decisions we make during life shape the patterns we carry forward in our memories, in the people we influence, in our children, in our culture, and in the long chain of human continuity. In this sense, every decision we make already participates in what continues beyond us. Another fascinating observation is that many people feel an intuitive sense that consciousness is more than physical processes alone. Humans naturally perceive themselves not only as bodies, but also as observers, as something that watches thoughts, emotions, and experiences from within. This sense of being the observer gives rise to the ancient intuition that consciousness may be more fundamental than we currently understand. Whether this observer is purely a brain function or part of a deeper reality remains one of the greatest open questions in science and philosophy. What matters most is not fear of what may happen after death, but awareness of what is happening now. Every moment of attention, learning, kindness, and understanding shapes the continuity of life. Even from a strictly scientific perspective, our actions still reincarnate through influence. Ideas we share, people we help, children we raise, and knowledge we pass forward become part of the future long after our individual lifespan ends. Seen this way, reincarnation is not only a metaphysical possibility, it is also a living process already happening through the transmission of experience across generations. Perhaps the deepest insight is this: whether consciousness continues individually or not, life clearly continues collectively. Humanity itself is a long, unfolding stream of awareness, learning step by step through billions of human lives. Each person contributes a small but meaningful piece to that unfolding, and that understanding can bring a quiet sense of responsibility and peace. The meaning of life is not only in how long we exist, but in how clearly we live, how consciously we act, and what we carry forward into the shared future of consciousness.